Good or bad for a relationship to have a fight from time to time?
Oh, it's a must. It's obligatory. The question is not so much the fighting, the question is really the repair. I think relationships follow a cycle of harmony, disharmony, and repair. When people fight about the same stuff, what they're fighting about is not the towel or the bathroom or who takes care of what or who takes the children every day or who is always late. What they're fighting about are actually three key groups of themes that are underneath those plot lines, which is power and control, closeness and care, and respect and recognition.
This was so powerful because a lot of times we associate disagreement or argument with failure of relationship or working towards the end, the demise of the relationship. And usually we hold relationships or couples that do no such arguing, do no such disagreement in high regard to say that that is the ideal relationship. But there's so much information that we're lacking when it comes to that. Not saying that it is healthy to fight, but it is healthy for two people to rise at a difference of opinion, basically. And when you're in a situation in relationship where you never arrive at that point to where you need to explain your perspective or demonstrate your perspective, likely in those relationships, one or both individuals are highly passive, meaning that they have a tendency to not voice who they are and give their emotions, their perspective, their opinion a voice. I would argue similar to her to say that it's actually a healthy thing for relationships for people to arrive at disagreement. And the point behind disagreement is why things fall off into such detriment. She said that at the end of the day, especially when you're at a disagreement about the same thing reoccurring, both or one individual does not understand the idea that you're not actually arguing about the thing. You're arguing about what she said was power or control, care, or I forgot what the third one was. I'll have to go back and look at it again. But basically, three characteristics are the reasons for argument. So you're not getting affirmed or recognized, your needs are not being met, or you're not feeling heard and understood. Basically, those three categories. And when you're coming from a place such as one of those three, you will tend to focus on smaller things and make it about that. But I also would agree that when it comes to relationships and disagreements, relationships that have disagreements and get over those disagreements tend to be stronger when facing adversity and future problems ahead within the relationship. When you have a relationship that hasn't necessarily gone through that, the relationship after a substantial amount of time is still just as fragile as what it was in the beginning. Of course, don't get me wrong, there are exceptions to the rule, but majority and more often than not, this is what it is. People that have been through things together tend to face everything as a team. They tend to learn where their partner is an asset, strong suits, and balancing each other out. They tend to figure all of those things out. Whereas when you have a either clear leader or no leader at all, and no one is in that position and no one's really speaking, no one's really talking, people aren't really teaching who they are, essentially it turns into a more of a roommate type dynamic. Now, that doesn't have to be a bad thing. There are people that enjoy being in that type of environment, but we have created a stigma that suggests that if you do argue, if you do debate or have differences of opinion frequently, that there's something wrong with your relationship. I beg to differ, because you learn triggers, you learn trauma, you learn how to navigate your partner, what to say and what not to say in those places. When you're in a good space, you typically don't feel the need to have such conversations about the things that bother you, where you're sensitive, and how you would like to be cared for. All of those things tend to rise to the surface when you're in the middle of disagreement or a difference of opinion. And if it's not occurring frequently, then likely two people have a lack of understanding of each other, because you're not facing those obstacles, learning from them, overcoming them, and setting up a way to proceed in the future. I definitely agree that we should stop approaching disagreement as something toxic or something that is going to bring the end of a relationship. Don't get me wrong. There are certain behaviors that, when displayed, when you are disagreeing, when you are having a difference of opinion, that can be toxic. But understand that a lot of these reactions are also a symptom of their environment, who they've been taught by, and whatever conclusions they have come to throughout experiences in life up until that point. That doesn't mean that you can't make sense for them to do different. That doesn't mean that you can't put yourself in a position to be thorough and understood and communicate in a way that can help them evolve into someone new. So don't rule a person out because they're trouble with confrontation, or their trouble expressing themselves, or their trouble just disagreeing. Their skills are not off. Most people run from confrontation. So where are they supposed to build up those skills? Hopefully in a situation with someone that loves them, someone with patience, and someone that's pushing for understanding. Peace.